Greetings from the city of brotherly love. I am Fernando Mendez, host of the Roundtable. We invite you to listen to our discussion of the themes of the day when we bring you regional, national, and international news. Señores oyentes de Usala Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda, The Roundtable, desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Phil Fisher, dirigiendo este programa, y vamos a hablar sobre varios tópicos. Hacia el fin del año vamos a buscar un modo de hablar sobre todos los temas diferentes del año 2022 y a ver qué nos promete lo que hemos visto para el futuro, para el año 2023 y más allá. Este ha sido un año de mucha actividad política en Filadelfia, en Pensilvania, por todos los Estados Unidos, con el voto de noviembre, que le dio el Senado, el control del Senado al Partido Demócrata, y se quedó el Partido Republicano en control de la Cámara Baja, en control, lo que llaman aquí, the House. Así que vamos a hablar un poco sobre estos temas. Como siempre, una sombra detrás de todo esto en cuanto a la política en este país está el expresidente Donald Trump. Él debía ya haber desaparecido de la escena si los líderes republicanos hubieran hecho lo que tenían que hacer. Pero por temor a perder sus propias elecciones, permitieron que Donald Trump siguiera encargado del partido, prácticamente. Aunque él no sea el titular, es un titular de facto. Bueno, ese es un tema que vamos a tratar más tarde. En el ambiente, en este momento, está el asunto más importante para muchos latinoamericanos, para muchas personas por todo el mundo, y más todavía, pues, inclusive para Estados Unidos, porque por primera vez el equipo de Estados Unidos, el equipo de fútbol en la Copa Mundial, parece tener un chance, una buena oportunidad de hacer un buen papel. Vamos a ver qué sucede. Está duro el camino porque se enfrentan a Inglaterra, entre otras cosas, pero bueno, ya veremos. Grandes sorpresas. This thing about sports, it's always unpredictable. Nobody actually knows. Even the experts cannot always say, this is going to happen, and predict scores and predict outcomes, victories. There's no guarantee in sports. We had a very exciting few days in Philadelphia when our teams were winning. The Eagles were 8-0, and then 8-1. They lost. We were so happy to see that they were invictus, undefeated. But then they went and they lost. And the last time we looked, it was 9-1 after they won by 1 point against the Colts. So the Eagles fans in that particular game, the last one against the Colts, the fans had given up. we're certain that many just turned the TV off and they thought the game was lost. There was only a couple of minutes left, and except it wasn't. And in the very last drive, the Eagles scored and won 17-16 by 1 point. So, more surprises in sports is what's happening in the World Cup. Some of the big teams, Germany and Argentina, not doing so well. Germany's loss to Japan was a big surprise. And then Argentina. Talk about Argentina too, but Ronaldo scored a penalty. It was expected that Ronaldo would score for Portugal. It's a great game. The Portuguese played very well. It's a difficult game. But what is most memorable about that game is the fact that, one, that Ronaldo scored for the 5th time in a World Cup. Por quinta vez en una Copa Mundial, Ronaldo metió un gol. Y el gol, el número 2 que marcó Portugal, es un gol de esos que se van a ver cientos de veces. Puede considerarse tal vez el gol de este mundial, uno de los mejores tantos que se han visto. That's one of the best plays in any World Cup, and it was a Portuguese player who scored with una chilena, what we call a scissor kick almost, not exactly it, but over the shoulder, and he scored the goal, surprisingly. But I was talking about Argentina. They are lost to Saudi Arabia. Big surprise. I think in Saudi Arabia, it was probably a national day. These people are going to be national heroes. They'll never have to work again. They beat Argentina, one of the top teams in the world, along with Brazil, England, France, Germany, and Argentina have been considered the top teams to beat. Now Germany and Argentina are both in trouble. But that loss to Saudi Arabia is what many will consider the greatest upset in World Cup history. It's a very difficult game for Germany, with more physical. The Saudis were really committed to this victory and surprised the Germans. It was a tough match, and so was the loss for Argentina. And now Argentina has a difficult match because they'll play Mexico. I think they play Poland and then Mexico. So Poland might not be so difficult, but Mexico certainly will be a tough game for Argentina. So my friend Darío Belot says that it's a wake-up call for Argentina. The U.S., in the meantime, will play against one of their favorite teams to win the Cup, England. So that's going to be an interesting match. Everybody in the U.S. Who follows soccer is at this point thinking that game is one that you cannot miss. But anyway, the one thing about sports, especially at the level of play of the World Cup, is that nobody can take it for granted that the favorites will win. We have seen already Japan and Saudi Arabia surprising everybody. So we'll see what happens. There will be a program in in the near future with Bill Salvatore, who is a sports person, and Bill McKenna also, who likes sports, and will talk a little bit more about football, what's going on in the World Cup. Quite interesting what is going on. This is one of those events, worldwide event. The large number of countries that take part, and at the final, this time in Qatar, it's when the best players in the world will meet and have competed and will compete. So we'll see those results are still pending. It's only the first round so far. We'll probably do a few more shows about the World Cup. And so we have those people coming to speak to us about different things that happen, especially Bill Salvatore. I want to talk to Bill about what happened with the Philadelphia teams, that he organizes a World Cup, a mini World Cup in Philadelphia with many countries taking part. So we'll find out from him what's going on with that project, which is very impressive what has been done. So we'll talk about that, and there's, as we know, there's a crisis in Philadelphia, a few crises in Philadelphia. One of them has to do with gun violence that has caused the death of many, many people in this city. And the other problem is drug addiction. So we will have a discussion with Britt Carpenter. If you're familiar with Usala Radio, Usala Media, you must have seen Britt in one of the shows that we had before. He's an activist, and he's very well informed about this drug crisis in Philadelphia. So there will be an interesting discussion with him. He's not only an activist, he's a former drug addict, and he has focused his attention on that area in Allegheny that is considered the focus of the drug trade right now, the drug addiction. That's one of the things that, and this is another topic related to the election. That's one of the things that I want to talk about, is Dr. Oz, the way that Carpetbagger used the people in that area of Philadelphia, where the drug addicts have been left alone, basically abandoned by the city. I don't know, the city doesn't know what to do with them. And the way that Dr. Oz exploited that theme for the sake of his political campaign. A man who did not belong in Pennsylvania, did not live in Pennsylvania, and he probably will not be seen in Pennsylvania again, ever. He is a man from New Jersey. He is more of a snake oil salesman than a real doctor. He made his name as a TV personality. Oprah Winfrey opened the door to that monster to sort of take over and almost capture a seat for Pennsylvania. But fortunately, I think we somehow got wise, and anyway, he has been returned where he belongs, in New Jersey, and not to be seen again. So we're going to take a brief pause here in Usala Media, the Roundtable. Les habla Fernando Mendez. Phil Fisher is directing this show. No se muevan, regresamos en un momento.
Once there was a boy who did the same thing again and again. One day, he was told he had autism. He got help and slowly learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Señores oyentes de Usala Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda de Roundtable desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal. Phil Fisher dirige este programa, les habla Fernando Mendez y vamos a ver qué otras noticias hay. Hemos hablado sobre deportes, esto de la Copa Mundial de Fútbol, un poquito sobre la política en Filadelfia, en Pensilvania, esas elecciones de noviembre que nos le dieron los demócratas, control de la Cámara de Representantes y el Senado. A los demócratas le dio el Senado, a los republicanos the House o la Cámara Baja. Y hablé sobre este individuo que no tenía ninguna razón para correr para un puesto político relacionado con Pensilvania. Un señor que se hizo famoso en la televisión y que vino aquí, lo que llaman aquí un carpetbagger, invasor, vino de otro estado pretendiendo representar a Pensilvania, y por fortuna este señor que no solamente que no vivía en Pensilvania, no vivía ni siquiera en Nueva Jersey, él tiene 5 casas por todo el mundo, tal vez más, desde Turquía hasta Europa, hasta Nueva Jersey. Así que este individuo afortunadamente no debe volver al escenario político, debe retirarse a vivir de sus ganancias mal merecidas, por supuesto. Bueno, es una de las cosas que este año vamos a hablar un poco cuando hagamos un programa sobre lo que llaman aquí un recap, un recuento del año. Probablemente hablemos sobre esto de la política en Pensilvania. Y debemos mencionar una cosa, porque no se le ha dado crédito suficiente al voto de la juventud. Los jóvenes se presentaron a las urnas. A eso se debe el cambio en Pensilvania, que la juventud respondió a los temas urgentes, ¿no? Había este tema del aborto, este tema del control del cuerpo de las mujeres, que los republicanos insisten en que ellos tienen que controlar cómo viven las mujeres. Este doctor As, que ya mencioné, este individuo inclusive dijo que en el momento de un aborto que debía estar presente un líder político. Es lo más absurdo que se ha oído. Y bueno, por fortuna, pues no ganó él y no se oirá ese tema de nuevo, pero qué estupidez más grande. Este doctor As diciendo sandeces. Dr. As is the one who said that at the moment of the abortion, not only the doctor and the parents, but also he wanted a politician present. And that's that. If nothing else, maybe that affected the decision of many people not to vote for this imbecile. But we'll talk about that more. We'll recap what the hearings of the January 6th committee and what it did, because it was historic. They took it from the very edges, from the people who were involved, even marginally involved, in that famous speech that Donald Trump delivered, where he urged his people to march into the Capitol, saying, "I will be there, I will meet you there." and we know what happened. So that's one thing that one topic that where the Judiciary Committee, this January 6th committee, organized the presentation in such a way that these sort of outliers, people at the margin of this who were there present because they actually believed in Donald Trump and they wanted to support him, but then they were infiltrated by the Oath Keepers and all of these violent groups that wanted to actually take the Capitol by force. What the committee has managed to do is, by the way they organize their presentation, that slowly the responsibility then moved to some of these representatives, like Josh Hawley, who had maybe not directly participated in the violence, but there's that famous picture of him with a salute with his closed fist to the crowd that was about to invade. So let's not forget that that guy is responsible, as many other politicals, and that's one of the things that, as the investigation advanced through the hearings, we heard, then we began to hear not only from the people inside the House and the police who had tried to protect the legislators in the Capitol and protect the vice president, who the demonstrators wanted to hang. They put up a noose. And so that's one thing that it's clear from video. We didn't need any testimony. We could see it. All we had to do is replay that video, find out how to replay that video. And you see that these people were engaged in an act of violence. It was not what some legislators, Republicans mostly, and defenders of Donald Trump continue to say, that it was a peaceful demonstration. What a stupid thing to say when the evidence is right in front of you. That is taking gaslighting to the extreme. Gaslighting, as we know, is when people tell you not to believe what you hear, not what you see, believe what I tell you. And this is what is happening with the Republican Party, a very disorganized party that has lost its way. And somehow, along the way, after Trump came down the escalator to declare his candidacy, the Republican Party delivered for him. The Republican leadership dedicated their political lives to him. It's amazing, and at some point historians will have a ball describing what happened to the numerous people, by the hundreds, who served Donald Trump in any way, either very close at the White House, at the different ministries, different Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of whatever office, all these people who served Trump and eventually shouldn't find jobs if they were true allies of Trump. There were people who served in his administration who sacrificed their careers. They never thought that was the end for them. Many of them thought this was a great opportunity to work with a president, to serve in the White House. But they had no idea that this was probably the one time in which they were giving up their lives, their careers, for the sake of this unethical, ignorant TV personality who by accident became president. There's no way, under normal circumstances, somebody like Trump should become anything, a man with no experience. So this will put to rest that whole idea that people kept saying that the country would be better off if we got a business person in charge of the nation. Well, no. Think about that. You need to build a record. You need to have a career in politics to learn how to compromise, how to reach agreements, how to write legislation, how to deal with diplomacy, how to administer. In the meantime, fulfill your duties as president, because that's part of the oath a president takes, to faithfully execute the duties of the presidency. And there is no way, Bob Woodward, who has just published the tapes of his conversations, his different interviews with Donald Trump, he decided that the page doesn't do enough. By writing this story as he did, to tell us what Donald Trump has said, he was just on MSNBC describing how he began to feel that because the page didn't do the job, that he needed people to hear in Trump's voice what he did, what he didn't want to do, how he was managing a crisis, how he addressed himself about international relations versus China, versus Vietnam, versus Korea, versus his best friend, Mr. Putin, and another dictator that he worshipped in North Korea, and they exchanged love letters. So this man had no experience, no record as a politician. He only had his fame. He rode to power based on the famous person he played on television, where all his mistakes were edited, where everything was given to him, to his control. And that's how he perceived the presidency to be, a place where he will be protected and all his mistakes will be corrected before they were aired, except he is the president. And then everything is exposed. Everything will be up for scrutiny. And that's what it was easy to prove that he did not belong there. And we just listened to segments of those tapes in his conversations with Bob Woodward. Just one particular topic that we dealt with and we're still dealing with, because it's the pandemia, is COVID and different versions of COVID. And it's hard to believe that the one person who could do something about COVID didn't want to, had no intention of revealing the seriousness of the illness and what was coming, how it was going to affect the whole country. So we're going to take another brief pause here in Usala Media, the Roundtable. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Phil Fisher, dirigiendo este programa. Regresamos en un momento. Pagano's Market and Bar has been serving gourmet Italian foods in Center City for 3 generations. Call Matthew Pagano for all your catering needs, and during these difficult times, please mention Fernando Mendez and receive a nice discount along with free delivery. Pagano's also makes the finest gift boxes in the city for all your holiday needs. Visit paganosmarketingbar.com. Señores oyentes de Usala Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda de Roundtable. Desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal les habla Fernando Mendez. Phil Fisher dirige este programa. Bueno, estaba hablando sobre este comité de la Cámara de Representantes, the January 6th Committee, and their report, which will be issued towards the end of the year. And they have to issue this in a hurry because they know that when the Republicans take over Congress, what they intend to do is immediately disband the committee, and then if they had the power, they would not allow this report to be issued. So they have to do it now, do it in a hurry, and give it to the Department of Justice, to the Attorney General. Merrick Garland now will have to decide what to do with this. We know what happened with the Mueller report, which certainly proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that there was collusion and there was corruption in the Trump administration. But as we also know, Bill Barr, who succeeded Attorney General Jeff Sessions, Bill Barr became Trump's lawyer in a way. So he gave us a 4-page summary of the Mueller report in which he said he concluded there was no collusion and no corruption, because that was what Mueller had been able to show. There were at least 10 possible reasons to indict Donald Trump. But lo and behold, Bill Barr saved him. As we also know, Bill Barr is now on the opposite side of what he did that time. Bill Barr now is one of the main spokesperson for the Trump administration, saying how corrupt, how incapable of governing this man was, how unethical he was, and the many reasons there are, according to Bill Barr, to indict this president for malfeasance in office. So that's how things change. Another person who has been very prominent in the media, Michael Cohen, who at one point was Trump's lawyer, personal lawyer. He did his all his dirty laundry, sort of clean up his misdeeds, and then he turned around and revealed to everybody that the president did exaggerate the value of his properties for business reasons, and then devalued the properties as he submitted them for tax reasons. So Michael Cohen is one, Bill Barr is another one. What is more disappointing than anything is the knowledge that Mitch McConnell, as the leader of the Republicans in the Senate, and Kevin McCarthy as the leader of the Republicans in the House, and Lindsey Graham and Jim Jones and John Kennedy and all the Republican leadership sold their souls to Donald Trump and protected him. I mean, Donald Trump was done. He was on his way to permanent exile in Mar-a-Lago. But what happened was Kevin McCarthy made that famous trip to take a picture with the Orange Genius, took a picture that seemed to redeem him and put him back as the most important Republican. So this whole time, the last 2 years, Donald Trump has been able to sort of rebuild his grasp on the Republican Party with the help of Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a person who should not qualify to serve in a McDonald's restaurant. She is now one of the most important Republicans in the House. Why? Because she promoted McCarthy, and she was one of the main supporters for him to become the Speaker when the Republicans take over the House again. It's going to be a difficult period for Kevin McCarthy. He doesn't have total control of his party there. There's anywhere from 10 to 15 Republicans right now who, first of all, didn't want him to be the Speaker and do not agree with his policies. So he's going to have a tough time corralling all these the different opinions within the party. So there might be a little bit of a civil war among Republicans. Another reason for the civil war among Republicans is the fact that Trump also seems to have lost a bit of his grip on the party, because now we have the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who is an actual threat to Donald Trump. And Trump knows it, and he's baptized him, as he likes to do with his political enemies. He calls Ron DeSantis Ron DeSantimonious. And that's one way of sort of dealing with a potential opponent as he prepares to run for the presidency. It's unbelievable. Donald Trump actually belongs in prison. There are enough reasons, provable, enough reasons to put him in jail, enough reasons for the Attorney General to indict this man, to prosecute this man. There's evidence, there's video evidence, audio evidence. Just listen to the tapes. That's the one topic I wanted to address. Listen to the tapes that Bob Woodward is publishing. When you hear Donald Trump, in his own words, commit perjury, lying, commit perjury if you are under oath, but he lied. He lied so many times the Washington Post had like 40,000 lies or exaggerations by this stable orange genius. But listen to that. So it's unbelievable. There's one particular topic, and he's dealing with COVID, with the pandemic that was approaching. And he knew full well, he had been briefed by people close to him, people in the administration, responsible individuals who told him, this is what is happening, this is what is coming. This pandemic is more like 1918. It's not a regular flu. It's not even like any of the recent virus we have seen, like SARS. This is more serious. And what did he do? Well, he was afraid, and he knew that his candidacy would be affected, that he may not win the re-election because of COVID. So instead of dealing with the pandemic, he could have become the most serious and effective defender if he had joined forces with the medical establishment, Dr. Fauci and other doctors who were saying, this is serious, this is what we have to do. If he had been more responsible and had taken the lead and said, this is serious, folks, there are many commentators saying that it is because of his lack of action in this matter that more than 1 million people died. In the pandemic of 1918, 650,000, 670,000 people died, double that number for this one, for COVID. And COVID is still with us. And one of the reasons any action was delayed was because Donald Trump was opposed to doing anything because he thought it would affect him, affect his presidency. So that is what Bob Woodward is asking. Was this the president fulfilling his oath of office? Was this the president doing what the oath says, to faithfully execute the duties of the presidency? And that is one clear case in which he didn't. And of course, we have other cases. What he did to us internationally, what he did to this country, discrediting us before the international community. Some of that probably cannot be remedied. The tilt in Latin America to the left, I'm not sure it can be blamed on Trump alone, but he certainly created a climate in which the United States was not going to get involved in influencing any of the decisions in Latin America. How about NATO? Trump wanted to destroy NATO, to bring it to an end. He was serving Putin. He was an ally of Vladimir Putin. So, it's atrocious what the Republicans want to do now. They want to spend their time in Congress coming up in 2023. What they want to do immediately is prosecute the Biden administration. It's revenge. Now we are in power. We have the power to investigate you. And the first person they are going to investigate is Hunter Biden. And we all would agree that he is a bad person. He's not a good guy. He made mistakes. His father, on the other hand, has been a good president. He's been very effective, in spite of what the Republicans say. He's done a lot already in his 2 years in office. But the Republicans at this point will have the power in the House to disrupt the plans of the administration. So stay tuned, because that's what's coming up. Republican-dominated House, not serving the people, but serving the interest of the orange man from Mar-a-Lago. Stay tuned to see what the January 6th committee report says, and we will probably talk about that when we have a chance on this program. Agradecemos mucho su sintonía en el día de hoy. Se despide Fernando Mendez. Phil Fisher dirigió este programa en Usala Media de Roundtable. Los esperamos hasta la próxima. Greetings from the city of brotherly love. I am Fernando Mendez, host of the Roundtable. We invite you to listen to our discussion of the themes of the day when we bring you regional, national, and international news.